Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to give everybody a couple of minutes to jump in online before we begin. Okay, we'll give everybody just another minute before we get things started. But I can't see this, but my coworkers online with me will be able to see this. So if you can hear my voice, please raise your hand. My team members, can y'all see their hands raised?
Yes, ma'am. We're lowering them.
Thank you. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us today to talk about Doing Business Texas Style, the Spot Bid Fair event that we are going to have in Dallas, Fort Worth next month. It is an actual spot bid fair, so we wanted to give you some tips and tricks, stuff to know before you go. So before we get started, I believe we have all of our attendees muted. So if you have, we've already gone through raising the hands, but if you have any questions, there's a Q&A tab at the bottom or on this off to the side. Go ahead and drop your questions in there, and then we will answer those as we walk through the presentation. A copy of this presentation or slides will be emailed to you after we conclude today. So we're going to go over the Spot Bid Fair and the Hub Expo itself, some of the Hub Expo sessions that we will be having, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the slideshow today, the bid book, and we're going to walk you through it, and then give you some things to know, things to remember, some tips and tricks before we move forward. And then again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask those throughout. We're happy to answer those. So there are numerous events that are going to be going on May 13th and 14th. One of those is the Hub Expo in conjunction with the Spot Bid Fair. The Hub Expo is a free event that you can attend on May 13th, which is the day we do the ribbon cutting to the Spot Bid Fair. It takes place during the morning session. We will have a multitude of presentations that will be given. Some of those are Certify and Grow, how to utilize your Hub certification, how to become a DIR vendor, forecasting state agencies, construction opportunities, where we will actually have the Texas Facilities Commission along with other state agencies that do construction in attendance to walk you through some of their upcoming opportunities, doing business with the state of Texas and doing business with state institutions of higher education. We're going to have several resources from the universities across the state that will be in attendance. They will talk about how they do business. They will talk about the different opportunities that they have coming up as well. And then the governor's small business office will be providing a presentation on why Texas. Why do you want to do business in Texas? So we have several classes that will be available to you, and those are all going to be in the morning. So you can come and attend that. The Hub Expo portion is free. The Spot Bid Fair is free. Now, we do all of this in conjunction with Access. So if you'd like to attend that event, there is a cost for that. But we have a registration link where you can go and sign up for the Hub Expo and Spot Bid Fair itself. And we will include that in our email when we email out those instructions to you later today. So here we've included the link to the actual spot bid fair itself, where many agencies and universities will be posting their bid opportunities. We have asked that the agencies and universities have their bid opportunities posted by May 9th to this portal. Some of the agencies are working very hard to collect bid opportunities for you, and they may or may not get those uploaded by the 9th. So one thing you want to remember when you are in attendance and you're meeting with the different agencies, ask them if every bid opportunity they had was online. Ask them if they brought any additional bid opportunities to share with you. Find out what they have going on, so you can make sure you've seen all of those potential bid opportunities that you may want to respond to. Agencies are going to be able to post their bid opportunities up through the 14th of May. At that point in time, it may be too late for you to see them. So that's why I suggest that you ask them when you stop by their bid tables. Ask them, was everything loaded onto the portal? Let them know what bid opportunities you saw, if you are responding to those, just to make sure you were aware of everything that they have. Pay attention to the deadlines for submitting your responses to these spot bid fair opportunities. They will have different due dates and times, and they will have different ways for you to submit those bid responses. Some agencies are going to request that you start turning in your bid responses maybe around 2 p.m. on May 14th to their exhibit table. That means you're going to have to actually carry a paper copy of your bid response into them and hand it over at the bid table. Some agencies may extend that due date, and they may have their bids due on May 15th or May 16th at a certain time, and you may be submitting those bid responses electronically. So you want to make sure you're paying attention, because each and every agency, their bid due dates and times are going to vary from agency to agency and university to university. So pay attention to those. Make sure you're submitting them in the correct format, in the correct way, in the correct time and place. We've asked that the bids not be due past May 16th, but again, that can vary. So you want to make sure you go out there and check with those agencies and universities to see if they've got any additional bid opportunities that you may not have seen on the website. Find out when those are due. And also, when you're there and we're talking about bid opportunities, it's a great time for you to have a conversation with these agencies and universities to find out what else they're buying. Find out what other tools they use to procure the services and products that they're in need of. We are at DIR, and many of our agencies and universities use our DIR contracts for their IT product and service needs. So, find out what vehicles they're using to get to the goods and services they need, and make sure you understand that. Find out what time of year they go out for bid for a lot of these opportunities. By the time we meet at the spot bid fair, it'll be May 13th, 14th, and 15th, and we'll be entering in the last 3 months of the fiscal year, which means the activity for the procurement shops heavily increases. So there will be additional opportunities. So it's the perfect time for you to make connections with those key players at the agencies and universities to find out how they're buying and what they are buying, and to kind of understand some trends, and then possibly set up future meetings so you can have additional discussions with them after the spot bid fair. It's just as important for you to make connections with these agencies and universities to understand how they do business as it is for you to turn in that one bid submission that you may have. So make sure you're making the most out of the conversations at those tables with those individuals. And then, talking about the spot bid fair portal, this is what the spot bid fair portal looks like when you click into that. And I'm actually going to take us there now. So we've included the link. You'll have the link with you on the presentation. But when you access the portal, If you've participated in the spot bid fair in the past, it's going to look very similar. Our agencies and universities are submitting in columns of data. So they have their agency number, their agency name, they have their solicitation information, the class and item codes that are relative to those purchases. They've identified the categories, and these are categories that are relative to the HUB program that we report spending under. So for the most part, I would imagine you're going to mainly see commodities related categories. And then you're going to see the quantities that they are requesting, unit of price, for pricing, the descriptions for those, the estimated values, and then some of the most important information, the key contact information, their contact phone numbers and emails. And then as you go further to the right, you're going to see that there are several columns where they can upload solicitation documents and information. So these are actually live links that will populate details for those bids. So you can go in and look at each of those details. You can see more of what they're asking for. Look for those agencies' terms and conditions related to that purchase. Understand what you're responding to, understand what you're signing and agreeing to when you submit those bid responses. And then up here in the right-hand corner, there is an actions button, but there's an export button. You can actually export this to a CSV file and then open it up in an Excel spreadsheet. And you can more easily kind of sort through those opportunities. So if you're only looking for opportunities from the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, you can sort that out either by that agency number or agency name, and then you can dig into those details. You can adjust these columns as you're looking at the data. It just kind of will align to whatever view you have set for your desktop. But you can go in there and sort through that data to identify what opportunities you may be interested in bidding on. And for, the different agencies and universities that you may be looking at. We've had several bid opportunities loaded up. If you'll look down here at the bottom on the right-hand side, you can decide how many records per page you want to display. The most is 50. And then it'll show you what pages you have and how many bid opportunities are out there. Currently, we have lines 1 through 50 of 129 bid opportunities that have been loaded up in there. So you can scroll down here every day or once a week as we get closer to the spot bid fair to see how many new opportunities might have been loaded to the portal. Now, these agencies and universities are having to submit these bid opportunities, and then our office will go in and essentially push those over into the open data portal, and they will repopulate. So you may see those change once a day right now, but as we get closer to the 13th and 14th, you're going to see those opportunities increase maybe twice a day, maybe 3 times a day, because the activity increases the closer we get to the spot bid fair. So you can bookmark this page once you've accessed it, and you can go through here with your morning coffee or your afternoon drink and take a look at what these agencies are asking for. So you can start planning. I've had vendors in the past that may specialize in a certain area or industry. And just to get in with some of the agencies and universities, I believe I saw there was a Mr. Coffee. Yeah, Mr. Coffee 10-cup programmable coffee maker. You can go to Walmart and buy one of these and submit that for on your quote for pricing. Some of these smaller items, some of our vendors will take a stab at to see if they can maybe win that quote, just so they have a little bit of experience with those agencies and universities. So, take a look at everything that's offered. Make sure you understand the delivery methods they're requesting, the timing in which they need these items, and any other information that they may be asking for. Pay attention to those details. But this is where you can find all of that information and access all of that information Bookmark this page, pay attention to it daily because it's rapidly going to change as we get closer to May 13th and 14th. Do we have any questions right now?
Yes, ma'am. We have a few. This one says, will we get the recording as well as the slides?
So we are recording this session and we are going to share that as well. We're going to share that with Andrew Nash at the Dallas-Fort Worth Minority Supplier Development Council. And he will share it with those vendors he shared the registration for this webinar with, as well as the Comptroller's Office and the Statewide Hub program. So we will be making the recording available.
Just as a reminder, please make sure to put your questions in the Q&A. Oh, actually, that's Andrew raising his hand. Hold on. Okay, Andrew, you should be good to talk.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome,
All
Andrew.
right, welcome. Sorry you're late, coming late in. Yes, we'll get that information out. If you registered for the event, we'll send those out, as well as we'll send updates as Lynn and her team start pushing those spot bid opportunities out. Again, we're in that 3 weeks or less than 3 weeks to come in. So usually this when we see the buckets of stuff come in. So please come back and check. But yeah, we'll get this recording out to the folks that's registered today or registered for the event.
Right. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, Patty.
This person was asking if you could please repeat regarding the paper bids being turned in at their agency table, but the extended deadline is 5/16.
Okay, so we've given some parameters to the agencies and universities to make sure that they understand when the posting for the bid opportunities are due, and then the time we allow them to work through receiving responses. So if any of y'all are longtime participants in the spot bid fair, y'all all know that prior to the pandemic, everything was done in person. We advertised our bid opportunities prior to the event online, and then those would be due at the spot bid fair itself. In person, you were turning in a paper copy of your quote or pricing information, whatever the agency or university was asking for. When the pandemic happened, we had to flex. We had to be more agile, and we wanted to be more inclusive to make sure people had an opportunity and time to respond to those bid opportunities. And in doing that, we kind of expanded the due date times. So it's very important when you go out here and you look at these different bid opportunities for you to identify when they want those bids due. They may have them due in person at the spot bid fair itself by a certain date and time. They may wait till they return to their office and make the bids due after the spot bid fair itself. And they may be requesting that you submit those via email. Some of them have flexibility where if you're there at the spot bid fair, you have their opportunity, you can turn in your quote and hand deliver it to them in person. And then they keep it open and they can also submit bids via email. So you need to pay attention to these bid opportunities to see when they're due, see what date they are due, and see what time they are due, and see what methodology they want you to use to submit those bid responses. If you are looking at this and you can't tell, let's say East Texas A&M didn't put that information for one of their line items in there, that's why we've asked that they include names and phone numbers. Travis Ball can thank me later. So Travis Ball's put his name out here along with his contact information. So you've got his phone number. So if you have a question, if you're looking at these bid opportunities and you're unsure of when they're due, that's what that contact information is for. pick up the phone, call them, leave them a message, because we still have several entities and agencies that are working in hybrid type environments. So leave a message. Chances are, if they don't include an email, you probably can search that on the internet and find that email address. Drop them an email. Just say, I'm looking at your bid opportunities on the Spot Bid Fair portal, and I don't see a due date and time. Can you let me know when that is? That'll give them a little nudge to remind them that they may not have included that information, so they may need to go update some information. Or if it was included and you may have missed it or read over it, they'll point it out and they'll point you to where that information is and let you know what date and time that may be. So we're telling you, you've got to be, it's uber important for you to read through the request and read through the bid instructions so you know when and where and how to submit those bid responses.
Okay. The next one I'm gonna kind of summarize. So they're stating that they just received their DIR contract. It'll be their first time attending. They're asking if it's a major event, approximately how many will attend. They were asking if there will be services listed on here for like IT staffing or consultants for cybersecurity, telecom, software, those types of things.
So first of all, congratulations on the award of your new contract. This is a major event. This is a very unique opportunity in the state of Texas. So if you're familiar with attending any of these types of events, you may attend some events down in San Antonio or Lubbock or Houston, anywhere across the state of Texas. We have typically in attendance 80 to 90 agencies and universities in person in one room that you have free access to. So this is a very, very unique type of an opportunity for you, the vendors, to meet with and network with these key players at the different state agencies and universities. So if you have been awarded a DIR contract or have one, that's just an extra feather in your hat. It's an opportunity for you to walk around and market that contract to them in person, find out how and when they're buying. Now, as far as services are concerned, I've not seen a lot of services solicited through the spot bid fair just because it's a little more difficult, a little more complicated. So you may not see any services related items, but I have already seen a few universities, because universities are voluntary customers in using DIR contracts. But I've seen a couple of universities go out and post bids for laptops. So there are going to be a handful of IT related opportunities from those universities, and potentially from maybe some of the state agencies if they're asking for exemptions and get an exemption granted. So you'll want to pay attention to that. I have no idea what the agencies and universities are bringing to the spot bid fair. I do know that the staff at each agency and university are working very hard to identify any and all opportunities that they can bring and make available to you. But it very much is a unique opportunity for you because it's a free event. And you will actually have FaceTime with 80 to 90 state agencies and universities all in one room. You will have time to visit with them over a 2-day period. So I highly encourage you to attend this event.
Okay. The next one says, when it comes to any of the bids, can you bid even though it may not be in your regular scope of business?
You can. I've had a few people in the past that sold computer IT related equipment, peripherals, and a microwave. We might have had a university requesting pricing for a microwave, and they actually responded to that, and they did, and they were the only vendor that responded to that solicitation. So they actually got an award from the university to sell them a microwave, and they were awarded that bid opportunity because nobody else responded. So you can, but I will caution, you need to make sure you consider all factors in supplying whatever products and or services they may be asking for. Again, look at those delivery times. Make sure that you can meet all of their requirements on that bid opportunity in a timely manner. Because the last thing you want to do is respond to something and then get a bad performance score or rating from them because things went awry. So be very cautious in doing that. I mean, you know what your skill set is, you know what y'all do well. So I would say stick to that. But there have been instances in the past, i.e. a microwave or a coffee maker, vendors will venture out on and provide a quote for, and it was appreciated because we may not have otherwise received any responses to those. So that's the other thing I want to tell y'all. Don't be fearful in responding to these bid opportunities. I know several agencies and universities will leave the spot bid fair. Their bids will be due, and there may be instances where they had no responses to some of those bid opportunities. So that's why we go through these educational outreach type of events to let y'all know how to prepare and be ready for the spot bid fairs so that y'all can respond, and it's a successful event for you as much as it is for the agencies and universities. So don't be fearful. Use that contact information if you have questions. If you ask a question that the procurement lead cannot answer, they'll tell you, and they're not being mean. They just are letting you know what they can and cannot answer. So the information they can answer and provide to you, they will. The information they can't, they'll let you know. But that's clarified things for you, hopefully, so you can turn in a better bid.
Okay, the next one says, to bid, do we need to have a DIR contract or as a hub member? Can we bid, or can anyone bid on this spot bid opportunity?
Anyone can bid on those spot bid fair opportunities. That's the idea behind the spot bid fair. It's anybody and everybody is welcome. So no, you don't. I know we've been talking about DIR contracts because we are DIR, but you do not need to have a DIR contract to respond to these bid opportunities. And just for those of you that are out there that aren't maybe unfamiliar with DIR, we're the IT agency for the state of Texas. We implement and manage all IT related contracts for our customers to use. Another reason why this opportunity is so unique and wonderful, we bring these spot bid opportunities that you may not normally see. And we make them available for vendors to respond to. So you absolutely don't need to have a DIR contract to respond to these bid opportunities. So don't be scared. Don't scare yourself out of responding to these opportunities.
Okay, it says, I got in late. When is the dates to attend the event in person, and where is it located?
Yes, so the dates to attend the event in person, the Hub Expo and the Spot Bid Fair will open up on May 13th. We kick the day off with the Hub Expo. It's in the morning, and then we have a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Spot Bid Fair, usually around 1:30 on the 13th. And that's your first opportunity to come in and network with these agencies and universities. And then that continues into the next day, May 14th. And in conjunction with the Spot Bid Fair, the Dallas-Fort Worth Minority Supplier Development Council will also be holding Access, which will be another event going on that's separate. So there's a different registration for that if you're interested in attending. But there's a lot of activity going on, but it's over May 13th and 14th. And it's going to be at the Irving Convention Center in Las Colinas.
Okay, this one says, I know you said it's a free event, but my ticket costs $150. Does that include something in addition to the free event?
That is where I'm going to refer you back to Andrew Nash and his team members over at the Dallas-Fort Worth.
I'm going to unmute Andrew.
Okay.
Yes, again, as Lynn said, it's almost 3 events that we put on: the procurement workshops, the spot bid fair, and the Access Business Expo. So again, if you purchase the ticket, you have access to the procurement expo, all the stuff that's on the 13th, spot bid fair and all that. And then there's the opening reception for the Access Business Expo. So again, the Access Business Expo is where There on the first day, we're concentrating on the spot bid fair and state agencies. And then on the second day, we'll have corporations there like PepsiCo, HEB, other corporations there. They're going to have roundtables where you can find out how to do business, as well as they're going to have booths that's there. And along with that ticket, there's a lunch on the 14th. You'll feel part of the luncheon as well. So with the paid ticket that you have, you're able to get into the opening reception that's at 5 o'clock for the Access Expo. Then the next day, you're able to get into the exhibit hall, the roundtables, participate in all that. You'll have the access to luncheon and then the closing reception on the floor. So you have access with the paid ticket to all the events. Again, the state agency side, the 13th events are mainly free for those. And as Lynn talked about bidding, if you've never bid on a agency, this is really what this helps. Coming in the morning, we're going to have those free classes. You're going to hear from doing business with universities and other folks, kind of tips to bid in that way. But again, if you've never bid on anything, this is a good opportunity. I'm not going to say to practice, but put in so you can learn. And a lot of those agencies, once they use you, sometimes they come back and use you again for other things. So again, it's just a full day. But again, if you purchase a ticket, you have access to everything, the Access Business Expo as well as the state agency day.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, this one says, what do you recommend we take to the event? A capability statement?
Yes, business cards, capability statement, anything that explains to the agencies and universities in a snippet of what you do, what services or products you provide, if you're on any cooperatives, include that information, and then contact information. They need to be able to get a hold of you. But let's say you're a new business and maybe you have business cards, maybe you don't. Try to put together a capability statement, but most of the booths should have sign-in pages. So if you don't have a card to leave them, you can at least sign in with your company information so that they've got that as well. So if you're making all of these connections, you want to make sure they can find you after you leave. So at the very least, bring a business card.
This next one says, do you have to be a certified MWBE to be considered in the bid fair?
You do not. It is open to everybody. So we certainly are looking for hub certified businesses that could potentially be hub certified, because by law, that's what we're supposed to do. But the spot bid fair is open to everyone. So you don't need to hold a certain certification before you come in there. And that's the beauty to the Hub Expo on day one. You can get additional information about doing business with Texas and what those agencies and universities are looking for. And then the comptroller's office, the statewide hub program, will be there as well. So if you have any questions about getting your hub certification, they will be a resource that will be on site, and they will be able to answer any and all questions you may have.
Okay. This one says, are they looking for wholesale pricing on electronics?
They are looking for low bids. They are looking for your best bid.
Okay. This one says, do we have to be an authorized reseller to bid on any of these solicitations for commodities?
Typically, here you do not, because the quantity and volume is lower. Now, understand, if you're not an authorized reseller for these manufacturers, your pricing may be higher, but it may be, if there's just one or two of something, you might want to try it.
Okay, this one's asking for the link to register for access. I'll have to look that up and drop that in there.
And we can include that in our email when we send out the slides. We'll want to include the registration information for everything.
Okay. This one says that they signed up for the in-person event in Irving. They were just wondering what's the benefit for the class today.
This was just to give you an idea of kind of what to expect, and what to look for and how to identify those bid opportunities prior to attending the event. We just want to make sure you have as much information as possible so you're prepared and ready to move forward and meet with these agencies and universities.
And Lynn, if I could jump in, I know last year we had over 80 universities and state agencies. When you get there, it's kind of hard if you haven't looked at the bid portal to try to go by every table, pick up the bid. So again, we're just trying to give you guys a tool today on what to expect if this is your first time out. But you just want to make sure the bid portal so you'll know which of those agencies have. If you have any questions, you can go directly to them. Again, with 80 agencies and universities there, and Lynn, I think we had almost about over 1,000 folks that early that morning when we first opened the doors. It's going to be hard to maneuver and try to get some good time. So again, the more homework you do, the more things you, like you say, the bids, you can get some additional information. And we'll be sending out additional information for the agencies that are signed up as we get closer to the event. We'll go ahead and send out the list of agencies that's going to be there so you can get prepared. But it's a lot of people, and you know, DIR is going to be full, comptrollers, Health and Human Services, some of those agencies, you know, you're going to be. So we're just trying to give you some tips now to help you maneuver, especially if you're filling out the bids to get ahead of that.
Exactly.
Okay, this one says, what is the fee for the access portion of the event? I see a registration page online, but not the fees. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, under the, they have sponsorships and they have tickets, and it's going to vary. It just depends on what you want to do. If you want to stay all day, do all events, meet with the round tables and everything. So the tickets are $150, which includes lunch, all day access, and all the other events. Sometimes the day of the expo, we'll have some expo passes that we sell with the limited amount that we put out, where you can just go and visit the expo, visit those corporations. But I'll get those information. If it's not on the site, I'll get you pricing. I'll get the list from Lynn today and find out who attended, and then send the full sheet of pricing out for you.
All right, I guess this one's more for you as well, Andrew. It says, do you already have your balloons for the ribbon cutting ceremony?
No, I don't, but send me an email. Well, you'll get an email from me and just respond back to me. Thank you.
This one says, if the buyer doesn't like the bid amounts or only receives 1 or 2 responses on a bid item, are they able to cancel a bid?
That is going to depend on the agency and universities. It all just depends. Typically, I'll tell you, most agencies, they're in need of what they're in need of. They're buying these items because they need them to fulfill their agency mission at some level. So if they get no bids, and I'll use our agency as an example, we've gone up there and there have been a handful of items maybe that we didn't receive a bid response to. We'll actually go into the hub directory on the CMBL on the comptroller's website, and we'll look for hubs that have those class and item codes on their vendor profile, and we'll send a request for pricing out for that because we still need it. So even if we don't get any bids from the spot bid fair, we still typically are in need of those items. So we're going to still pursue those opportunities. Now, again, this is going to vary from agency to agency and university to university.
Okay, the next one says, are there any bids that need to be submitted in hand or at the booth, or are all of these online submissions or emails only?
So you are going to need to read each and every item that you're wanting to place a bid on. And those attachments that I showed that were off to the far right-hand side here, specifications, terms and conditions, the universities and agencies will attach this information, and you will need to look and see when they are requesting those bids be submitted. So they're going to give you a date They're going to give you a time, and they're going to tell you how those bids need to be delivered. So if they're asking for them on May 14th at 2 p.m. at the spot bid fair, you're going to get it to them prior to May 14th at 2 p.m. Because if it's May 14th and it's 2:01 p.m., they can't accept your bid because they had a specified bid date, time and date, due date. So you need to look and see when that is for each of those items you want to provide pricing on. And if you don't see that information, reach out to those procurement leads that have been identified for each of these purchases or these bids, and call them, email them, and ask those details because they are going to vary from agency to agency and university to university.
All right. I just want to clarify that May 13th is the free day to come, and the 14th is the paid event to meet with the agencies and universities.
So May 13th is free, and there are 2 events going on that day. The Hub Expo in the morning, and then the Spot Bid Fair opens up in the afternoon. Then on day 2, May 14th, the Spot Bid Fair will still be open. And that access to that is still free. If you want to participate in any of the access related events, so if you want to network and meet with any of the corporate individuals that they have exhibiting, it's going to be a separate exhibit area that you have access to. And then, like Andrew said, there are different activities that are going on. So depending on your involvement and how much you want to do, you can pay to attend access on May 14th. There's an opening reception on the night of May 13th that you can pay and get tickets to. There's a luncheon on May 14th as well. So you can go through there, and there will be pricing associated with each activity. So you can kind of get a feel for what all is included with that pricing. But the spot bid fair itself and access to that is free. The Hub Expo is free.
Okay, this one says, will we get a list of all agencies, universities, and corporations that will be there that maybe don't have bids in the portal?
I would tell you, I don't know of an instance where we've had agencies attend and exhibit that didn't have bid opportunities. Most of them are in attendance and exhibiting. We even have agencies and universities that will post bid opportunities, but they may not have travel funds, so they may not be able to participate in person, but they may have bid opportunities available on the website. But most everyone that is in attendance has bid opportunities. Andrew, I'm not sure, do y'all update the website with the list of agencies and universities that have registered?
Yeah, we're getting ready to start doing that. That's in our next marketing run to update the roundtable folks, and then we'll update the state agency folks that we have. Again, I think my last count, we had 67 agencies already signed up. Last year we had 80, so we're getting really close to what we had last year. We still got a little time, and we're getting folks that are still signing up. On the corporate side, we'll get that information closer to the event as well. So probably the week of probably the 7th or 8th, we'll have all the lists together and start sending that out to folks that are registered for either the spot bid fair or access. You'll start seeing who's going to be there, where they're located, and all that good stuff.
Perfect. So you're going to be able to see that information, and as we get closer to the event, I would bet that those lists are going to grow and evolve and change. Also, I'm hearing, Andrew, that we need to blast the Hub discussion work group to make sure everybody that was planning on attending, as far as agencies and universities are concerned, just a reminder that they get their registration completed as well.
Okay, I'll get with Mariah and get that done.
Okay, this one says, will all bid formats be the same, and is there an example of the format available?
They will not all look the same. They will all be similar in maybe the types of information they're asking for. And the similarities that you're going to see is in that spot bid fair portal. So here, you're going to see it in this portal as far as the information we're asking for that they push out to this website. But their bid response submissions, some of them will have pricing sheets they will want you to submit. Make sure you sign and date those. Make sure you put your company's information on those, because I've had vendors that have turned in pricing for bid opportunities and they won. And there was no contact information on their submissions. So we didn't know who it was that had submitted it. We didn't know how to get a hold of them. So make sure that your company's name and contact information is on everything that you have. But this portal is as similar as it's going to be. They're all going to look familiar, and they're going to have similar requested data fields, but they're not all exactly the same. So you'll need to go into each of those attachments and see what they're asking for.
Okay, this one says, did you say with paid access, we will also have access to the procurement sessions, even if we aren't a procurement professional?
Yes.
So
I'm sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, with the paid access, you'll have access to both sides of the spot bid fair, as well as to the access side, where you'll be able to participate at the round table and go to the booths of the corporation.
Okay, this one says, I see mostly traditional commodities. Where would the best place to search for service-related opportunities? For example, my company provides event labor for events like the spot bid fair. Will the available spot bid fair contracts also be primarily commodity contracts?
So yeah, the majority of what you're going to see out on the portal is going to be commodity related. Now, the best way to search through this long list is to export the data into a CSV or Excel spreadsheet, so you can filter through that data and see if there are any services related items that are posted. I will tell you that given what you do, that is very unique, and not every agency will have a bid opportunity ever for that. There are a handful of agencies that might, and there may be some universities that might have opportunities for those at some point throughout a fiscal year. But the most important thing would be, if you don't see anything online, it's uber important to network and show up and ask those questions. You have an opportunity to meet with them in person, you can ask them those specific questions, and they can tell you if they have a need for your service. They can tell you when they typically let that out and release that opportunity for bid. And they can tell you maybe what methodologies they've used in the past. But that is a very niche service. So not every agency and university is going to be looking for those services, but there are going to be opportunities out there, and networking in person is going to be the best way to identify those.
Okay, this one says, for the spot bids that have already been posted, will purchasers continue to update information such as estimated worth and email addresses? If so, are changes to postings flagged or identified in some way?
So information will continue to evolve. Right now, the only way we have to really edit this information is, let's say, the Mr. Coffee light item that was posted. Let's say that instead of a 10 cup, they want a 12 cup. They would have to withdraw that opportunity and then post the new opportunity. And there's not really a good way for us to flag that. Now, if you're exporting this list and keeping track of it, and you know what agencies you're looking at, you can filter by those agency names or agency numbers and look at the opportunities that they have there. And you'll be able to identify it a little bit easier that way.
Okay, this one says, will someone walk newbies how to navigate the bid system? I would like a walkthrough example of at least one bid being submitted.
We don't really go over filling out a bid. It's pretty intuitive for most of these items because they're commodities, so they're going to be looking for pricing for those items, and if there's any shipping included, lead times. You'll provide your specs back to those, but take a look at each of those pricing sheets or bid opportunities that are posted by these agencies and universities. Then if you have a question, you can go back if you're just unsure about certain pieces of information. reach out and contact those agency procurement leads that have been identified, and they will answer the questions that they're able to answer for you.
Okay, this one says, are we able to see the bid tabs or to who these bids are awarded?
So you are, but that would require that you do a public information request. So you can request that information and see who they received bids from. You just need to go through each agency or university's records division to submit that request, and then they have a certain amount of time that they have to respond and provide that information to you in. But you can do that.
All right, this one says, would this be a good event for insurance agencies or bookkeepers?
I think this is a good event for everybody because sometimes I refer to this situation as a three-legged stool. You have our minority vendors, sometimes they're smaller vendors. You have our corporate vendors in attendance, and you have our state agencies and university in attendance. We all need each other, and there are all opportunities there. So if you don't find an opportunity directly with an agency or university, you may meet another vendor or another corporate vendor who might be responding to a bid opportunity we have in which you can provide your services to them. So we all need each other, and this is the best opportunity to come together and network with each of these different segments and to connect and find potential opportunities. So insurance in the state world, very unique, but all of these small businesses that are in attendance will need insurance. So there is a need for your services. You just may have an indirect path in getting to those agencies and universities.
And Lynn, if I can jump in, I know there are some workshops that morning, and one of them is forecasting state agency construction opportunities. And I know with construction, they need insurance or bonding. So if you do that, you may want to just go to that one, find out who's in there that's looking to do work. And then, that's a short list of folks that may need that. And again, we ask you if you have those services, sometimes it may not be the agency, you just want to meet with the folks. This is a great networking opportunity, not only with the state agencies, but the businesses that are there. You let them know what you do. But again, take advantage of the folks that are there in the audience, the ones that are going to the tables, and the ones that you're just going to meet in passing. And introduce yourself, let them know what you do, and they may be able to utilize your services.
Exactly.
This one says, what kind of corporate vendors will be there? I thought this was just for public agencies. Thank you.
So again, like I said, this is almost like 3 shows in one. So again, the Spot Bid Fair hosted by Senator Royce West and the Procurement Expo, where we do workshops, and then those are all going to be state agencies and universities there. The Access Business Expo, the next day is for corporations. So again, here at the council, we do MBE certification, along with we have a memorandum with the state. We do the State Texas Hub certification. So on the second day, we bring in the corporations, the PepsiCos, the American Airlines, Southwest Airlines, and folks. So again, almost like 2 shows in one on that side. There's the pay side for the access side. Again, kind of the same mission, introducing businesses or MBE businesses and hub businesses to the corporate side, as well as the Spot Bid Fair hosted by Senator Royce West brings out all the universities and state agencies. So just kind of gives you the folks that are going. City of Dallas is going to be there. The ISD is going to be there. Dallas ISD is going to be there. So again, we're trying to bring all opportunities into one place to give you an opportunity to see where you fit, if this is what you do or that what you do. But again, because we have all of our suppliers are hub certified, that's why we like to bring in DIR and all the folks there, because they can do business with them as well.
Okay, this one says, from the past bid fair, have you seen needs for staffing? They're a nurse staffing company.
I would say that that's a very specific and niche category as well. You may want to talk to some of the universities that provide medical services, like UT Medical Branch in Galveston. You may want to talk to HHSC, but again, that's the perfect arena for you to identify how they're buying those particular types of services and when. So there may not be an opportunity on the spot bid fair portal for those, but they will be able to talk to you about how they procure those specific services.
All right, and that's all the questions for right now.
Okay. So a few things to remember, and I've said this a couple of times, I'm going to say it again. Read all bid documents and understand what the customer is asking for. If you are unsure, that's why the contact information is there. So reach out to that procurement lead that's posted that information and ask the questions. If you've asked something that they legally cannot answer, they'll let you know, but at least you're aware. And many times they can provide clarification on items that have been posted. Make sure that you know the due date and time for when those bids are due. It's going to vary agency to agency, university to university. So make sure you've got those due dates and times identified. Submit your response in the requested format. Again, that will be identified for those each of those unique bid opportunities. So make sure you understand what that is. Provide all requested documents, data, and details. If they are asking for some information, make sure you provide that information. Make sure you provide all of the information they've requested. You've answered all the questions that they've asked you to answer so that they can evaluate your bid accordingly and score and rank those. Make sure you read the terms and conditions that are attached to these bid opportunities. If there's a pricing sheet out there and you fill in your pricing information and your contact information, and you side that bid and their terms and conditions are attached, you're accepting all of those terms and conditions. So you just need to be aware of what those are. Use spell check. Make sure that your words are correct and you're responding appropriately to what's been asked for. Check your math twice. I'm an Aggie. 2 + 2 is 4. But sometimes the math doesn't math on these bid responses. So just have somebody else put an extra set of eyes on that. Make sure that everything's been calculated correctly. You've provided all the information. You've checked all the boxes. You've signed all the documents. Again, provide your contact information. I have had individuals turn in bids with 0 contact information on there, and we were unable to award the bids to them because we didn't know who had submitted that information. And then always know that you can contact the identified point of contact. I've been calling them procurement leads, but they're your point of contact for each of those bid opportunities. Should you have any questions, don't make any assumptions. Their contact information is there and it's there for you to use it. So if you have questions, reach out to them. They are there and they are available to receive those questions, and they will answer those questions to the best of their ability. So those are just a couple of things to keep in mind as you are looking at these bid opportunities. The different agencies or universities are resources for you. If you're unsure, on the comptroller's website, there is also a list of hub coordinators. They're a good point of contact for you. So if you're unsure and you don't see anything, let's say from the comptroller's website, you don't see any bid opportunities, you can pull down their hub coordinator contact information, reach out to them and ask them if they're bringing any bid opportunities. They can let you know if they are going to be bringing anything, and they can let you know when those are posted. So, use all of the tools that are out there to the best of your ability so you can be as prepared as possible for the event. Are there any additional questions? Not hearing any?
No. No, ma'am, I don't see anything.
Okay. So we're here as a resource for you, the DIR Hub office. So if you have questions, dir.hub@dir.texas.gov. email us. We have a team of individuals that are here and they're able and willing to help you. So reach out. If you have any hub related questions for the statewide hub program or any hub expo related questions, reach out to the statewide hub program at statewidehubprogram@cpa.texas.gov. And then if you have any questions related to registration or any type of information, we've included the link to the Dallas-Fort Worth Minority Supplier Development Council's website, so you can use that as well. But all of these resources will be included in our email that we will respond and provide to you after this webinar concludes. And we appreciate your time today.
Oh, we got a couple questions.
Okay.
We have a vendor asking if they're able to exhibit at the spot bid fair.
So no, this is a kind of a reverse situation. This is an opportunity for all of the agencies and universities to exhibit at the spot bid fair. Now, if you're a member with the Dallas-Fort Worth Minority Supplier Development Council, I believe there might be an opportunity for you to exhibit in regards to your company at the access side. But as far as the spot bid fair is concerned, that is strictly for agencies and universities.
Okay, this one says, we currently see 129 bids posted. Do we have an estimate how many new bids are expected till May 14th?
We do not. The agencies and universities are working this on a daily basis. They're working with their internal end users. They're working with their internal purchasing agents. They're working with their internal executive leadership to identify different spot bid fair items that they can bring because there are thresholds that we have to work within. There are restrictions and requirements that we have to follow as well. So they're identifying those opportunities. And we never know how many opportunities the individuals, agencies, and universities are going to be able to bring until probably the morning of the event because they work feverishly up until those wee hours of the morning right before the event, bringing everything that they can bring. So that's why we encourage you, maybe this week you take a look at it again tomorrow, or maybe you wait till next Wednesday and take a look at the portal. And then, the following week, maybe you look at it 2 or 3 days that week. And the week before, certainly I would look at it every day because the potential for bid opportunities to increase and change is very high the closer we get to the actual event date.
All right, and that looks like that's all the questions we had.
Perfect. Thank you again. Thank you, Andrew, for participating. Thank you, vendors, for participating today. We'll get all of this information out to you, and y'all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.